My name is Brian Collins. I'm a Vice President of the Peter Warlock Society. I used to be its chairman and I used to be its newsletter editor. He was an incredibly significant figure in British music at the time. Capriol itself exists in, I don't know how many versions, but only 3 of them are by Warlock. One is for string orchestra, one is for piano duet, and one is for full orchestra. And it's a dialogue between the dancing master, called Arbo, and his pupil, who is called Capriol. It's a lovely collaborative effort, and I think it's a piece very much of its time. You know, it's written at a time when composers were exploring eras, exploring parts of their cultural heritage in a way to move music forwards. So you will find composers using Baroque and pre-Baroque devices, patterns, motifs, that kind of thing. Of course, one of the features of Warlock's output, I don't just mean compositional output, but literary output as well, is his enthusiasm for and promulgation of music from earlier generations. So he becomes fascinated by the composers of the English High Renaissance. But he was enthusiastic about early music in general. And had he known that he was going to share a platform with Biber's Battalia sonata, I think he would have been overjoyed. You know, there are bits in the Biber Battalia which are quite reminiscent of that last movement of Capriol. You know, the sword dance at the end, where you get those lovely crashing dissonances. And he would have loved those, multi-tonal elements, I think, in the Biber Battalia. And I think to understand it, you've got to try and get inside his character. He's not the easiest of people to assess, especially at this time distance. He's acquired this reputation, you see, as a kind of wild man. And I guess up to a point he was. But he was incredibly literate. He was wonderfully well read. He knew lots of things about lots of different subjects. He probably had a number of character, personality, emotional problems himself. He may well have been bipolar. He does seem to have had periods of intense activity. He also seems to have had periods which you can only describe as depression. And it might have been during one of those periods of depression in 1930 when he probably took his own life. A few years ago I was approached by somebody who got a printed score of Capriol. It was the orchestral version. And I said to this bloke, "Where on earth did you get this?" And he said, "I found it in a black plastic bag, it was going to be thrown out." And I said, I'm 95% sure that this is actually the score that Warlock used himself when he conducted Capriol at the Proms in 1929. I think there were a lot of wilderness years as far as Warlock's music was concerned after his death. The Peter Warlock Society exists to promote his music, and I think it's done a very good job. There's hardly any of Warlock's music now which is either not in print or indeed has actually been recorded. I can think of 1 or 2 significant examples, but virtually all of the music is now in print, and in fact is going through a new edition, a new updated edition even as I speak. So availability of Warlock's music, particularly his songs, is now virtually complete.